My husband left me for his ex, then came back with a pregnant mistress and demanded I accept her into our family, but when I refused, he accused me of being heartless and threatened to take everything from me. I thought I knew my husband, Thomas. We had been married for 5 years, and in those years, I never imagined I'd be sitting in the corner of a cold, unfamiliar apartment, my world crumbling around me. I thought we had built something solid. We had been a team, right? We bought a house together, had a dog, and talked about our future, about starting a family. But now, everything I had believed in was shattered. It started innocuously enough. Thomas and I had been through some rough patches over the years, but I always believed that the love we shared was enough to get us through anything. That was until the phone call came. I had been at work when my phone rang. I glanced at the screen and saw an unknown number. Normally, I would have ignored it, but something in my gut told me this was important. I answered. Hello? The voice on the other end was cool, almost too calm, and it sent a shiver down my spine. Rachel? My name is Natalie. I think you should know that I'm pregnant with your husband's child. I froze. My heart stopped for a moment. Pregnant? With Thomas's child? My mind couldn't process it. What? What do you mean? I asked, my voice trembling. I mean what I said, Natalie continued. Your husband, Thomas, is leaving you for me. I've been seeing him for months now, and we're having a baby together. I just thought you should know. Her words hit me like a freight train. I could barely breathe, let alone process what she was saying. Thomas, my husband, was having an affair with my sister's best friend? How had I not seen this coming? I trusted him. I loved him. How could he betray me like this? I need to talk to him, I managed to say, my voice barely a whisper. You should, she replied. Because he's leaving you for me, Rachel. And I don't want you to make this harder than it needs to be. Before I could say anything else, the line went dead. My hands shook as I held the phone, the weight of her words crashing over me like a tidal wave. I felt dizzy. My thoughts scattered. I didn't know what to do, who to turn to. My mind raced as I tried to make sense of it. How had I missed all the signs? How had Thomas been able to lie to me for so long? That night, I confronted him. I couldn't wait any longer. I needed answers. I was shaking with anger, confusion, and hurt when he walked through the door, his face unreadable. Thomas, I said, my voice cold. We need to talk. He looked at me, clearly tired. Rachel, can we do this later? I've had a long day. No, I snapped. We're doing this now. He sighed, rubbing his eyes. Okay, what is it? I just got off the phone with Natalie, I said, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. She told me everything. She said you're leaving me for her. And that she's pregnant with your child. Thomas's face went pale. I saw the guilt in his eyes, but instead of coming clean, he tried to defend himself. Rachel, I didn't want you to find out like this, he said, avoiding my gaze. But it's true. I've been seeing Natalie for a while now, and I'm in love with her. I know this is hard to hear, but I can't be with you anymore. I could barely comprehend what he was saying. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. How could he be so calm? So detached? Was he really telling me that after everything we had built together, he was choosing her? You're in love with her? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. And what about me, Thomas? What about everything we've shared? He shifted uncomfortably, his eyes avoiding mine. I didn't mean to hurt you. I never wanted to, but I've been unhappy for a while. I thought you'd understand. Understand? I repeated, incredulous. How could I understand this? You've been lying to me for months. You've been betraying me, and now you want me to just accept it? I'm sorry, Rachel. But this is what's happening. I'm leaving you for her. I want to start a life with Natalie. She's having my child. His words stung like a slap across my face. You think I'm just supposed to accept this? I whispered, fighting back tears. You want me to be okay with the woman who's been sleeping with my husband? I didn't want it to happen like this, he said, his voice almost pleading. But it did. And I can't go back. I stood there, frozen, unable to speak. My world had just crumbled, and I couldn't even find the words to express the depth of my pain. My mind was a whirlwind of confusion, disbelief, and betrayal. Get out, I finally said, my voice shaking. I want you to leave. Now. Thomas looked like he was about to argue, but then he saw the look in my eyes, the same look that told him I was done. Without another word, he turned and left. In the weeks that followed, I tried to rebuild my life. I moved out of the house we had bought together and found a small apartment. I didn't know where to go, what to do, or how to cope with the pain. The anger I felt was all-consuming, but there were moments when the sadness threatened to drown me. I couldn't believe this was my reality now. My husband had left me for his ex, and now, he was starting a family with her. Then, just when I thought I couldn't feel any more alone, Thomas showed up at my door. I wasn't expecting him. I had spent the past few months avoiding him, trying to move on. But there he was, standing on my doorstep, looking as though he hadn't slept in days. Rachel, he said softly, almost apologetically. We need to talk. I don't think we do, I said, my voice cold. Please, he said, stepping forward. Just hear me out. I know I've made mistakes, but I want to fix things. I want to make it right. I stared at him, incredulous. Fix things? You've got to be kidding me. After everything you've done? After everything you've put me through, you want me to just forgive you? I know I don't deserve it, he said, his voice full of regret. But I've been thinking a lot about what I've done, and I realize I've hurt you. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. But I want to come home. I want to be with you again, Rachel. My chest tightened. The anger I had felt earlier began to bubble up again, but it was mixed with something else, something more painful. I had loved this man. I had given him everything. And now, he was standing in front of me, asking me to forget the years of betrayal, the lies, and the heartbreak. You think I can just take you back? I asked, my voice rising. You think I can just forgive you for what you've done? You left me for her, Thomas. You've been living with her, and now you want me to just open my arms and accept you back into my life? No. It doesn't work like that. I know, he said quietly, but I'm asking you to try. Please, Rachel. I want to fix this. Fix it? I repeated, my voice breaking. How? How do you fix something that's been broken beyond repair? You destroyed us, Thomas. And now, you expect me to pick up the pieces? I don't want to lose you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I love you, Rachel. I always have. I shook my head. No, Thomas. You don't get to say that. Not after everything you've done. He stepped forward, reaching for my hand, but I pulled away. Please, Rachel. Don't be like this. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll leave her. I'll make things right. I looked at him, my heart torn in two. Could I ever forgive him? Could I ever trust him again after everything he had done? I'm sorry, Thomas, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. But I can't. I can't go back to that life. I can't be with someone who's already chosen someone else. And with that, I closed the door on him for good.